What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of The Modern Philosopher. Today I'm going to be giving some advice on how to get over someone, so stick around for this video. You don't want to miss it. As always, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit that like button so we can get some more views out there in the cyber world. Comment just to let me know your thoughts and opinions on the topic. And as always, share with your friends and family because I think it's important we help each other figure out the answers to life's biggest questions. So this video might be a little longer than most, so I'm going to hop right into it, okay? The first advice that I would give anybody who's struggling getting over someone is you have to accept the reality that that person is gone, okay? Obviously, that relationship failed for a reason. Whatever that reason is, you and that other individual know. But it's over now. And it doesn't do you any good to have any false hope that maybe it'll work out in the future, right? If it's meant to be in the future, then you'll cross that bridge when you get there. But that's not the problem that you have right now. The problem that you have right now is that individual is gone, and you have to accept that, okay? Number two, you want to limit your contact with that individual, okay? It's very hard, and I had this issue myself too. This is some advice that I followed, right? But it's very hard to break up with someone, and then even if it's 6 or 7 a year down the road, you see them in a relationship. It brings out mixed emotions. It brings out feelings that you just gonna be like, man, wow, they're happy with this person. Did they ever love me? You start asking yourself all these unnecessary questions, right? So I say limit your contact with that individual because number one, you avoid that whole entire will they, won't they, how did they feel, did they you avoid that whole entire confusion stage. But the most important part as well is you give yourself some time to work on yourself, you know? Like I one of the things I did when I broke up, well, my ex broke up with me, actually, I didn't break up with her, she broke up with me, was I asked myself this question. We were friends before, and I would oftentimes think about reaching out to her because, again, it was fresh out the relationship, right? And I would think about her, and I'd be like, man, I kind of want to reach out to her. But then I asked myself, is there anything that I have to say to her that is not about our relationship or our friendship? And if the answer was no, I wouldn't reach out to her. I wouldn't. And this was because of again, I wanted to protect my own mental health, right? I was looking out for me at that point. Relationship was over. I had no responsibility towards her. It's not to say I hated her, but again, relationship was done, right? There was no need for me to be in a role that was no longer for me. So you want to limit your contact with that individual so you just avoid any sort of unnecessary emotional attachment, all right? Which brings me to point number 3, which is understand the difference between missing the person versus missing the good times, right? When you miss the person, you might just miss, they might have been a great individual, right? They might have known exactly what they were doing. Maybe they had some flaws here and there, right? But overall, the relationship was good, and maybe it was your fault the relationship ended. I don't know. You and your ex know, right? You can say, hey, I missed the person. It just wasn't meant to be. When you miss the good times, however, right, what ends up happening is maybe the relationship was just toxic, right? You guys argued all the time, you didn't get along that well, but you still had some great times. Understand, there's always going to be good times. And I'll give you an example. When I was in basic training, I got cussed out a lot, right? It was a stressful environment, and the whole environment was meant to break me down emotionally, psychologically, and physically, right? But even during that environment, I built genuine friendships with people that I'm still friends with today, that I follow today, right? That I care about, and they update me on their life, and I update them on their life. But I wouldn't say I would be foolish, but it would be very unwise of me to put myself back in a situation where it was meant to stress me out just so I can experience that kind of friendship again, right? Because I can always experience that kind of friendship without having the stress. So understand the difference between missing the good times and missing the person. Number 4 is to learn to either fill in that need that the person, did for you, or to live without it. And I'll give you an example. So when my ex broke up with me, like I said earlier, we used to talk a lot. But we used to always be on the phone, and we'd FaceTime, or we'd call each other, or we'd be texting throughout the day and stuff like that too. Now, one of the things that I got used to was just our nightly conversations. We just always talk every night, right? But then when we went our separate ways, that stopped, and I missed it. I missed having someone to talk to. That need was still there. And so one of my buddies that I've been friends with all the time, this was actually the time when me and him became a lot closer. Just as friends, we started hanging out more. We started spending more time just doing whatever, you know. We'll call each other up about some funny stuff that happened during the day. We'll share memes. We'll do whatever. But that I strengthened our friendship in place of the communication that I lost with my ex, right? Now, an example of really learning to live without it, the biggest example I have is intimacy, right? However intimate you and your ex were, sometimes you got to learn how to go without. And it's not that you will never ever have that need fulfilled again. It's just certain needs can only be fulfilled by certain people. You can't just have everybody, you can't just be intimate with anyone and everyone just because you have this need that you want to fulfill. Certain people, like another boyfriend, another girlfriend, or should fill that need, right? If you just try to fill it with whatever and whoever, you might end up overindulging and be developing some really bad habits. So sometimes you might just you might have to learn to do without for a short amount of time or for a long amount of time, however long it takes you to get into the next relationship, which is hopefully the one that, you build and it lasts for a long time. The last piece of advice I have for you guys, and this is the most important, is to forgive that person, okay? I think a lot of us, regardless of how amicable we might have ended the relationship, I think some of us, we still hold some resentment for our exes. And, we're probably like, if they would have done this differently, we'd still be together. If they wouldn't have done this, then, we would be together this day. Forgiveness, and this is, I think, a misconception a lot of us have. We think that forgiveness is for the other person. And in a way, it kind of is, but it's more so for you. Number one, the Bible says, if you cannot forgive others of their transgressions against you, your heavenly Father won't forgive you. But at the same time, too, what forgiveness essentially is you letting go of any sort of hurt, trauma, pain, unrequited love, anything like that. You're letting go of it, right? Because if you hold on to those emotions, and I think a lot of times what happens is we resent our exes and we think, I should resent them. That's a good thing that I resent them. And not really. Because in the case, and this is like a major exaggeration, and most of y'all might be like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, and that's okay. But let's say that you resent your partner, right? And they're because maybe they were not who you wanted them to be during the relationship. And you hate them, and all of a sudden, they change. They become who you wanted them to be in a relationship, right? You might confuse that as them all of a sudden, or you might confuse them as they're always the one you're supposed to be with, and it was just their fault, right? And that might not be the case. They probably still not the right person. They might have matured a little bit. They might have developed the skills they were supposed to have, but they were still not the person for you, right? And you might trick yourself into going back in them, and then that just kind of has its own little drama, right? You don't want to do that. But also, if they don't change, they ultimately have power over you, because everything they're going to do is going to upset you. If they succeed, you're going to be upset. If they get married, you're going to be upset. And can you imagine giving somebody the authority over your life when they are not even connected to you, when they have absolutely no relationship with you, when they're not even involved in any decision in your life, and yet you give them absolute authority because you're getting upset about how they're living their life? Forgiveness is about letting go and saying, I choose to let go of this attachment because I know it's going to be better for me to live a life where I'm in control of my own emotions, where everything that's stimulating my emotions, it's something that needs to be stimulating my emotions, right? It's supposed to be there, not some ex that is doing something and I'm getting upset about it. So guys, I hope you understood what I was trying to say. Hope it made sense. I hope you guys take away something from it. If you do, great. Leave me a comment down below. I really want to hear you guys' opinions on these words. I just want to know that I'm not just, up in cloud nine and just saying some random nonsense. If it makes sense, please let me know. As always, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you on another video. Deuces.